Marlins and Phillies tonight. Sandy Alcantara's coming off a complete game shutout Wednesday, and he gets a Phillies team tonight, Anthony, that's hot. They've won 11 of their last 12.
They are hot, and it starts with guys like Rhys Hoskins, Alec Boehm, JT Realmuto. They have been getting really good ABs lately. I've liked what I've seen from Nick Castellanos. He seems to be turning the corner. It's going to be a tough test for that lineup because Alcantara is obviously amazing. He is the front runner for that NL Cy Young, and I would say it's going to be interesting to see what that Marlins lineup can do against Noah Syndergaard, despite the fact that he got the win last time and also a complete game, only 5 innings. It'll be interesting to see if they can score enough runs against him tonight to give Alcantara a win.
And speaking of Cy Young front runners, the superhero known as Justin Verlander goes to work tonight. Houston has 71 wins this year. Verlander has been credited with 15 of those. So he's like 20% of their win total. That math is probably wrong, but even better over his last 7. Mike.
I mean, I don't know who I'm more amazed with, the way DeGrom looked after 13 months or Verlander coming off of Tommy John. I was like, well, if he could be pretty good, Houston's pretty deep. I think this is the best he's pitched in his whole career. He looks outstanding. I think he's reached the point where he understands his stuff better than he ever has in his whole career. He's a guy who, back in the day, keep the fastball low. He's perfected that elevated fastball and keeping that curveball where it kind of changes your sights. We're like, hey, this is way out of the zone. Boom, top of the zone strike. He's got it all.
He went 652 days without pitching and is coming back from Tommy John at the age of 39. You could list the number of guys that have done it at that age on 2 hands. None of them threw as hard as Justin Verlander. Most of those guys were setup men, relievers. What he's doing is beyond anyone's comprehension this year, and I don't even think it's a conversation for Cy Young anymore. As good as Shane McClanahan has been, as good as Ohtani's been, anybody else you want to throw in there, the narrative part of this is all Verlander.
From what I've seen, Verlander has easily been the most consistent. I would say the one guy who's making a charge on that list is Dylan Cease because he has been amazing over the last several months. I don't even know how many starts he's on, giving up 1 run or less. It's unfathomable what he's doing. But Justin Verlander, to do what he's doing at his age, coming off those injuries, you mentioned the amount of days. Well, he only threw 6 innings in that 2020 season. So, I mean, you could pretty much go even back before that. It is really impressive what he has been able to do this year. And he's not doing it the way he used to. Yes, the strikeout numbers are still good, but this isn't vintage Justin Verlander striking out 11 or 12 per 9 innings. This is a little bit more of a letting guys put it in play at times, but knowing he still has the stuff to get it to 97, 98 late in the game when he needs it. It's so impressive.
Yeah, I don't know that there's anybody else on that board that's close. You mentioned Cease, and for good reason. He's been closing ground lately. On the NL side, it might be a little bit more of an open conversation if we would all concede that Alcantara's the chalk. Max Fried's been great all year, and the guy that's hot right now in this group is Zach Wheeler. If he could pitch his whole schedule at home, he'd win it in a landslide.
Well, he's unstoppable at home, and I tell you, he had a couple starts, especially early. It was like 6 earned, then he threw 3 innings. You take away those, his ERA is a sub-2. It's really impressive what he does. And in a park that's pretty hitter-friendly. And when you sign those big deals, I think when you go to a place like Philadelphia or Chicago or Boston, New York, those places, they expect you to be better than what you are, than where you were when you were at your best. And I think Zach Wheeler's actually gotten a lot better than when he was with New York. He seems like his stuff is fine-tuning. He has that rise in his fastball. He can add and subtract. Anthony, you tell me, you get a guy like Wheeler, like, what's the game plan? Do you just say, I'm using your stuff, or do we actually look at the lineup and say we gotta match up against certain guys?
No, I'm using his stuff, especially when I caught him, when he first came up, and he had some control problems. He would walk guys a little bit. He couldn't go deep into games because he would get in a lot of 3-2 counts. He doesn't do that anymore. I mean, he attacks you. He gets after you. The walk rate has absolutely plummeted. So to see what he's doing is really impressive. And to me, that as a catcher, when I know I can toy with a guy, but I can come back if I need to, if I fall behind 1-0, 2-0, with a breaking ball, with whatever, get me over, whatever you will, and get back in the count, it just makes things so much easier. But I will say, on that list, to see Sandy Alcantara with 20 more innings than anybody else, to me, that still matters a lot. I don't care that he's on a team that isn't winning as many ball games as some of the other guys. That guy's far and away my NL Cy Young winner.
And unabashedly drinking from the Budweiser throne that was delivered to him in the clubhouse earlier this year. Dude is unafraid. I love Sandy Alcantara. He's the chalk here, man. It's his award to lose.
It's his. It's his. And to Anthony's point, he goes so much deeper than everyone on a consistent basis. It's not like he threw 9 and then he drops 2 5-inning pieces. It's 8, 8 1/3, 7 2/3, 8. You know, it's really impressive. And speaking of a guy who's a strike thrower, these guys go deep not because they have 125 pitch counts. It's because they're being efficient. They're using their stuff to pitch to contact when they need to. A la Verlander, that's a great point that you made. The 8.8 strikeouts per 9 is because he's pitching to contact. And if he needs it in the tank, it's still there. But it's an understanding, I think, of your arsenal of when you need to rear back and get it, or when you can. Hey, a dream is to get an out in the first 2 pitches, right? You just keep the game going, and he's been an absolute innings eater.